Thank you, Christina, and thanks for this opportunity. I'm very happy to be here with you today. And the discussion we had prior to this panel has also given me a lot of input for what I'm going to say to you. Just firstly, a warm greetings from the board of directors of Center for European Volunteering that are coming from different countries all over Europe. Center for European Volunteering has been here for 30 years now, and it's devoted to development of volunteerism in their individual and collective efforts, trying to make the cohesive, trying to pull the cohesive part of volunteering. You can just go just to present the. Can you? Thank you. Just to present you a CV briefly. We have around 60 members across Europe, associated and full members. There are many organizations devoted to development of volunteerism, mainly on the national level, but we also have some organizations that are working on the regional and even also on the local level. What we concentrated around is how volunteering can play a role in social cohesion, in improving our relations, and in paving the way to making European values a reality. So I'm going to stop here before I present you the document that has since the last year been present and out there for Europe, and I also hope you're going to pay some attention to it as well. I'm going to stop here and say, if I would have come here 5 years ago, I would probably be talking about the infrastructure of volunteering, about the volunteer management, about valuing the competences gained through volunteering. What I'm trying to say is that the last decade was very much, and I'm sure you all know that because you've participated in it, has been dedicated to improving the quality of volunteering, and rightly so. That was really very important, and it still is. But the world is changing, as you all said it, and I will try not to repeat what was already there, and all these trends are also important for volunteering. But I'll try just to pull out some of the trends that I believe at this moment are either important for volunteering, or volunteering can be important for the, amortizing the trend if it's the one that is challenging. As you can hear, there are some trends that we should be concerned about, but there are also some trends that we should be welcoming and see how we can use the most benefit, or we benefit the most from them. As we can hear, we have demographic changes. We have a growing gap between generations because the technology improvement is speeding. I've been reading about how we have, in the past 10 years, we have changed more than we did in the past 100 years. So the gap is there, it's increasing. The political tensions, the political dialogue is getting worse, even in Europe. The things we have been proud around, our democracy and democratic culture, it's decreasing. We have a war in Europe again after 30 years after Balkans have gone through the same thing. So our communities are becoming more diverse because of the migrations, because people are now more willing, and that's a good trend, to express their differences. So we have more diverse communities. So that's also whether it's a present or it's a potential tension in society. Volunteering, as you all mentioned in our dialogues before here, can contribute to better understanding, to empathy, to better interrelations, to better communities. The digitalization and the social media have created, you all know, we are functioning in the bubbles. Yeah, so we need to step out of the bubbles, and volunteering can be, it's not only, but it can be a very important social phenomenon that can help with creating or strengthening our communities. Because in some cases, in rural areas, our communities are disappearing. That's also the fact. We see that all over Europe, really. My colleagues have been saying the same thing that we have in Croatia. We have that. We also have that. So there is a lot out there that we need to react. We need to react fast because the change is obviously happening very fast. So we at CV, together with all our members and also together with all other organizations that we are associating with, we have thought about it. What should we think about for the next decade? So there is a document called Blueprint for European Volunteering 2030. We call it BEV 2030. It's out there. I'm just going to go very briefly through it because it's out there. You can find it on the CV web pages. You can also use this presentation. So BEV has 5 areas that we have concentrated around. Can you please go further? So it's about independent and inclusive engagement, new volunteers and methods, empowerment, appreciation of contribution, resources and coordination. Just briefly, independent and inclusive engagement goes exactly around the benefit that democracy has in volunteer engagement. The free will is a basic starting point, is a vital point of democracy culture, democratic culture. So these are all the these are all the phenomena or the goals that we should strive on. Many of them mentioned. I'll just emphasize the collaborative culture. So we heard an example from Norway, collaborative communities. I think very important approach. And I'll just say this and try to finish, because there was a lot of talk about funding. You see, there is a transparent and democratic funding. I've been around for centuries. so I can say this.
I like how you do that like this.
Yeah. So funding programs should not be only about giving money. They should be around delegating trust in the community. And I see that as the biggest problem of the funding programs. I mean, some of them are better, some of them are more burdening. But delegating trust has a more benefit, I think, for our future, and would have more benefit for our future if we could organize that around that value. Because as we see in the researches, the trust is also declining. And the trust is a fundament of our social capital. And I hope that these funding programs will also take that into consideration. They are, at the moment, over-bureaucratic, all over Europe, burdening in many cases, and they send a message of distrust. And that can be damaging to our social capital and to the future, especially coming back to the new generations. And who knows how it will change and what we will have in the future, so we need to be prepared. And one more thing on our new generations, young people, we need to stop talking they're our future, they have to be our presence, they need to be involved, they have to have a seat on the table. Otherwise, I'm not sure where it's gonna go. Anyway, you can go, of course, through all of these I'd be happy to talk about that later during the day. And I hope you can come back to us, because at CV we are very curious and want to know and want to have a feedback around this blueprint for European volunteering and around values. Because we believe next decade is going to be around what volunteering contributes to, what kind of change and what kind of society. So, thank you.